If you made a New Year's resolution to eat healthier in 2024, hopefully you are sticking to it. But if it feels like you're just eating the same old boring foods, you are in luck, because Nicole Pajurko is a nutritionist and dietitian with Food City, and she's here to make us say, good when we eat. So good to see you.
Well, hopefully that's the goal, yes.
So, I mean, I think that for one thing people have come to love about Food City is that you do try to keep the prices low. So sometimes there can be this misnomer that it's going to cost a lot of money to eat healthy.
Yes,
not the case.
You're so right. I think the common barriers to eating better are, one, the perception that it costs too much, healthy food costs too much, the time it takes to prepare things, and then flavor is another big one. But with cost, it can be really easy to include more nutrient-dense foods in your diet when you look to Food City store brands like Full Circle Market and Food Club. It's going to offer the same quality. You can see that nutrient density by, one, reading the label, and then looking to our Pick Well program to identify better for you foods, but at a better cost.
You also have recipes online and sometimes in store, so you can kind of do the planning ahead of time, and then you're buying foods that you can reuse.
Touching on that prep time that we talked about, that's a barrier oftentimes, and then the flavor, our Food City's Dish and a Dash recipes are designed to do just that. So the recipes come together in 30 minutes or less, and then they're pairing pantry staples, nutrient-dense pantry staples with fresh ingredients too.
Well, let's kind of walk through some things that you brought, because I mean, this is looking good to me from the standpoint of a mid-morning or afternoon snack. Also 100%. Great to keep in the car for your kids.
100%, yes. Fruit does not always have to be fresh from the produce department, although that is fantastic. Those canned options can be just as nutritious as long as you look for options with no added sugar in 100% juice. And the Pick Well program, the dietitian's pick, and no sugar added help to identify those pretty quickly.
Okay, so these are raisins, right, that you brought?
Raisins, yes.
I think it's interesting on the no sugar added, because people sometimes think, well, raisins have a lot of sugar, but it's natural. It's
natural sugar, and you're right, it is that concentrated form. You're still getting the fiber, but it does take away from that water. So from a volume perspective, maybe a fresh fruit would be a good option. But for something, throwing it with a little bit of nuts and then balancing it out with some protein, some healthy fats, then you really have a balanced dish there. And it has a lot of potassium, which is a nutrient of concern for most Americans. It's something that can help lower blood pressure, and we don't eat enough of it. So focusing on a variety of fruits and vegetables, specifically raisins, bananas, we know, potatoes, stuff like that's going to give you some potassium.
But you know, a lot of people, and I'll kind of raise my hand, I'm not a big banana fan. So it's nice to then be able, because again, it's the consistency, and you just get sick of the same old thing.
Right.
So you can change it up.
Right. So people, I think, often talk about bananas when it comes to potassium. That's what they know. But avocados are an excellent source of potassium. Beans, for the most part, beans and lentils are a good source of potassium. And then potatoes, which a lot of times get a bad reputation, but in reality, those are nutrient-dense food as well. Okay,
you had mentioned fiber a minute ago. I thought for some reason I saw some oatmeal and stuff.
Yes, we've got some oatmeal here. We've got some even pasta. We've got lentils and brown rice. And so when it comes to fiber, most Americans, women need about 25 grams per day, and men, it's upwards of 30 grams per day. And usually we get about half of that from our intake. Focusing on, yes, fruits and vegetables, but then trying to identify more whole grains, making at least half of your grains whole grains is a good way to get a little bit closer to that goal. And then I always recommend too, as one of your protein sources for a meal, focus on a plant-based option like lentils, like beans. That's a good way to get the protein in, but then you're also getting more fiber as well.
I'm a huge spinach eater, and I eat it in a variety of ways, so I think it's great to wilt it in a second. Salads obviously are good. I even like it in omelets.
Throw it in. Another dietitian actually gave me this tip at the bottom of soups. Just ladle your soup on top of a bed of greens, and that's going to allow those to wilt, and you're getting a ton of nutrition in there on top of whatever vegetables that you have. But yes, spinach is great, good source of iron, and then you're also getting a little bit of calcium from those leafy greens as well.
I have less than a minute, so what's was this a vitamin you brought?
Yes, so vitamin D is something, especially in the cold winter months, less sun exposure. We're not synthesizing as much of that vitamin D. And so sometimes if you consult with a physician, it might be a good idea to get vitamin D because it's hard to get from our diet, but try to choose seafood a couple times per week and then fortified foods as well.
Okay, so all this will give you pretty much a balance of the nutrients that you need.
Yes.
None of it is terribly expensive, and then the recipes are there for you to find either in store or online.
Yes, that's right, foodcity.com.
I feel healthier already. Thank you.
Thank you.